the Deanham Leasing Hotline and talk to our one and only Super Bowl winning scout who's been working so hard today but decided to spend a little extra time with us, Brian Broaddus.
What's happening, B?
Hey, guys. Good evening. How we doing?
Doing well. The fact that you still want to hop on with us after doing a whole draft show just shows the commitment.
He's a beast.
And I know you got stuff probably tomorrow as well. I don't think your day ends, so I appreciate you speaking, hanging out with us. Overall reactions from just the first round, and then we'll focus more in on the Cowboys in a second.
Yeah, this was going to be a first round where kind of a lot of people were, they were trying to kind of figure out where they needed to be to kind of grab particular players. I think on my board, the way I looked at it, there were some of my guys who I had first round grades that had some injury history. A couple of the corners were still remaining that, Ravel and Morrison and stuff like that. I was really kind of surprised that with Luther Burden from Missouri that was on the board a little bit there at the end. And, so it's one of those things. I kind of had a feeling Simmons, the offensive tackle from Ohio State, people thought about the patella. I had heard that the patella was fine. I got a big following from a group of people in Kansas City because I talked to pre-draft it. Well, look at Simmons. He'll end up at the best tackle will end up in Kansas City. And so I had all these followers from the Chief Nation thing, I guess. So it was kind of fun, but that way. But yeah, I think overall, it's a little bit surprising that maybe that Shedeur Sanders did not get taken. That people, the Giants trading back in, going for Jackson Dart there. But overall, I think that people, with Dallas, there was going to be a little bit of a minefield that they were going to have to walk. We talked about it, up until the draft, before the draft, it was that, hey, listen, if you're going to want Ted McMillan, there's a potential of some, names that are going to be, there's going to be some teams that you're going to have to kind of deal with. And I really didn't see Carolina as the team. And then I started to remember that last year when Dallas played Carolina, Carolina had no receivers.
Right.
They had absolutely no receivers. And so to me, depending on where you played Hunter, either wide receiver or corner, maybe that if he was a wide receiver for you, then maybe Ted McMillan was the second best receiver on the board. And, Carolina was kind of sneaky because they were talking about maybe going defense there. And there was also some talk during the day where Carolina was like, listen, if you want to come to our pick, we'll sell it to you pretty cheap. But, when McMillan became available to them, they stayed right where they were. They made the pick. I give Dallas some credit. They were able to, Dallas, when Jerry Jones and the guys were talking about our board wasn't ready, I think this was when you look at it and you probably say, well, maybe their board wasn't ready. Maybe the tags were on the board, but maybe they weren't ready because they were having to work through the scenario of Ted McMillan not being there for them. And that's what they were waiting to work on. And, we started to hear today, even this morning, about the possibility of Booker being the selection. If Dallas were to lose McMillan, we kind of felt like the board was going to stay wide open for him. They could go guard, they could go corner, they could go wide receiver. A lot of different ways that they could go. And it so happens that, when their stack came down to it, I'm sure that McMillan was probably higher than Booker. And when McMillan was gone, then the next logical thing was to take Booker, and it probably stayed pretty true to their board.
I like the fact that they did stay true to their board because looking at the NFC East, they got a lot of interior pass rushers. There's a lot of tackles, from the Eagles, from the Giants, even there's pass rushers. So I'm not mad at the pick. Was there any thought of the Cowboys going after defensive linemen with that pick?
I didn't. I think the guy they really, really liked was Walter Nolan. And, that was the kind of where I didn't really hear of any others, but Walter Nolan from Ole Miss was kind of the guy that people were talking about there. And, as potentially a guy that they could go. But I think in this draft, Chris, I think they're looking now for more of a one technique than they are three technique. I think they're looking for some competition, maybe an upgrade over Mozzie Smith, at that one technique spot. And, we saw some one techniques go today in the draft. With Harmon and those guys. Our guys from Ohio State. There were some guys that went, and so Williams. So that's kind of it's going to be now. You're probably looking at some third round type of guys, and so we'll see. With like I say, with Burden, the wide receiver from Missouri, still on the board. Could that stretch? Maybe people are not enamored with Burden because of they feel like, well, he's a little bit of a diva or whatever you want to call it. Maybe he's. I don't think there's any bad character things. I mean, Mike Green, who is from Marshall, is one of the best pass rushers in the draft. Well, obviously there's character problems there. He went from a guy that maybe a lot of people talked about potentially a top 10 pick to being out of the first round. So there were some character things. There were some injury things that people were dealing with. And I think it sets up good. The cornerbacks that Dallas maybe could need in the, going forward, could be here. They've also, the wide receiver looks pretty good, and the running back thing looks like it's holding together pretty good. So that pick at 44 will be interesting, but I think there's some avenues to grab a good player at that spot.
We're talking with former Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus of the G-Bag Nation here on the post-draft show, officially brought to you by the On-Time Experts, the official air conditioning and plumbing partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Blake?
Broaddus, I think you bring up some great points about how the second round is going to shake up, and I think there's a lot of possibilities, and maybe they're even in a situation where they move back from pick 44 and pick up an additional second or third. I think there's a lot of good talent. We know there's a lot of good names on the board. What is kind of the best scenario you see in that second/third round?
Running backs.
Are you if you're at pick 44, are you passing on Travion Henderson or Quinshon Judkins?
Oh, yeah, I think, I think, I'm hanging, like I say, I've got a couple of corners, and, both with, like, say, East Carolina's Ravel, Dr. Cooper, Dan Cooper did the surgery on the knee, so they have an understanding. I've heard of a, good, clean bill of health there on that one, but people a little bit worried about that. They're probably worried about Morrison, the corner from Notre Dame. He's got some hip, a degenerate hip, but let me be honest with you guys. Brett Favre, we traded for Brett Favre in 1992, and they told us, he's got a degenerate hip, and he played 20 years. Jeremiah Trotter, they told me he had a degenerate knee. He played 13 years. These guys do have things. Larry Allen's got a rotator cuff problem. Oh, yeah. We can't draft him, and he plays. He's a Hall of Fame career. Right. Doctors, trainers, these guys are great. They help you in a lot of ways. But, I think there's going to be some value. I think there's going to be some value at corner. I think there's going to be some value at wide receiver. I think there's going to be some value at defensive line, at defensive tackle.
So you think the Cowboys are going to be good either way?
I think so, too. I'm not interested right now in trading back, I don't think. If one of those guys, like I say, if Luther Burden, the wide receiver from Missouri, is there at 44, and I've got a first-round grade on him, I'm sure that they would absolutely. Now, I'm selfish. I want them to take all my guys. Yeah. I want them to take all the guys I like. But as far as the quality of the players at the position that they need, the runner, the corner, the wide receiver, I think we're sitting pretty good right now, with an early pick there in the second round.
How many first-round grade picks are left on your board that are available?
I named them. Yeah, it's the three. And the two corners, like I said, Burden is probably more of a character thing. Mike Green's a character thing. And I mean character as far as, I don't, with Burden, it seems like there may be some diva type things. I don't know how to describe it any better than that. Mike Green does have some, a case that he's having to deal with. There's something that happened in his past that I don't think people were very comfortable with. And then also, though, but like I said, when you look at the corners, Ravel and Morrison, those are guys.
Throw Will Johnson in there too.
Yeah, and Will Johnson. Let me tell you this though, and I had those two corners above Will Johnson. Will Johnson's dealing with some medical stuff too, and I think that's why Will Johnson fell out of the first round. I think that people were concerned about his speed to begin with. He didn't run the 40-yard dash. He didn't give anybody a 40 time. and I don't want to get into what his condition is, but because I don't want to get in trouble by that.
Mm-hmm.
But he has something that teams are very much considering, and maybe he is going to be a second-round guy. Maybe people are more comfortable taking him in that second round instead of where he was initially picked, potentially in the first.
2 questions. Would the Cowboys draft him at 44 if he was there? And then once you think they would?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it depends on do they like Johnson better than if Ravel doesn't hurt his knee, he's probably the best corner in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So Dallas clearly needs corners, and there's going to come a point in time where you're going to listen, how do we have the, is the injury going to hurt us? Now, is it going to hurt us in the future?
Yeah.
Those are the things you have to evaluate. But like I said, I think Burton is a hell of a player. Mike Green, I get it. I mean, we just watched the tape. We're not privy to all the information. So when we put these guys where we put them there because of the tape. But these teams know so much more about these kids than we do. But there's some guys there, and I like I say, I think the quality where Dallas is picking, I think that they're going to grab them a really good player, and I think in the third round they might do the same thing.
Okay, so the question I have for you, Brian, I've been wanting to ask you this for about a week. Mm-hmm. In that pick, 44, are there any running backs that we know Hampton and Genty made defensive coordinators have to scratch their head? Are there any
that way?
Are there any running backs that can? Huh?
Yeah, Henderson and Johnson both. I think.
Good.
Yeah, Henderson. There's a lot of people that thought that maybe Henderson might be the first running back off the board tomorrow.
Okay.
When we sleep on the board tonight, when the thing opens up, I'm kind of waiting on the run for the running backs. It might start here in the second round, but I would be comfortable taking Henderson, Johnson from Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
I think and then now you're starting to work into the third round a little bit with Sampson and guys, like that. Junkins, I think, is a guy. I think Dallas is in good shape if they really want a running back. I think one's probably going to get to him.
I hope so, because my opinion is Dak Prescott, a la Jalen Hurts, has to have a legitimate running threat so that he can really work a secondary. Otherwise, they're going to flood the secondary, and you don't go anywhere. It can't be the committee thing. It can't be another Rico.
No, I don't think so. And, man, if you had Rico here, then you would probably be able to go into day 3 to grab a back. But I think they're now, because they really don't have the running backs. Where they've upgraded the running game is they've upgraded by drafting Booker for the right guard spot, potentially there, and then also to the 2 coaches that they brought in. So, yeah, getting a big-time running back, I think, would go a long way here.
Here's my most pressing question to you, Brian, and I feel like you can answer this well. When you look at who they drafted in the first round of Tyler Booker and the position he plays, and when we heard the tea leaves about them going O-line, me and Fred went back and forth, and I feel like the question you have to ask is, who do you feel like is more of a liability, Jalen Tolbert or Brock Hoffman / TJ Bass? And I'm guessing based on the pick that was made, not an indictment on those guys.
You don't want Bass playing 17 games.
Okay.
You just don't. He's good. The times that he was able to substitute for Zach Martin, they got better running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But for 17 weeks, I kind of feel like that. And I'm not trying to slam Brock Hoffman or TJ Bass. I just feel like, though, to me, you've really upgraded that spot.
So those are backup guys.
Yeah, those are backup guys, and I feel like that with Booker, you get a guy. I mean, Dak Prescott, his ability to move, I think, is going to be limited. But you've got to give him the ability to stand in the middle of the pockets and make throws. And so the front 3 are responsible for that depth of the pocket. The tackles are responsible for the width. They've got to figure out the left tackle spot, though. I think Awesome Richards is going to compete over there with Guyton, and best man win. Is what you have to think about.
That definitely helps me sleep at night, because I was under the impression where I liked what Brock and TJ did, but like you just said, that was only in spades. That was not for a full season, and those were not the long-term play, kind of summarizing what you said. So getting Booker, you now have 3 interior O-linemen that are going to be there for the next 10-plus years, and you are set right there.
Yeah, you hope. Yeah.
I got another question for you. Speaking of corners, and there might be somebody available, is Stephon Gilmore coming back?
No, I think Stephon Gilmore, if he was in fact working out for the Cowboys, they would have taken him through the player entrance, and he would have been a part of that. I think he was there kind of visiting folks.
Okay.
I didn't get the impression that he was there to work out. But there might be some, that's a star. They have other businesses and stuff that are there. But the player entrance is completely different from. He came out the front door.
Right, right. He could have done this. Yeah, he could have done the side door.
Players park over at the Dr. Pepper building across the field, and if that's the case, they would have had him go through there, or they would have taken him, walked him through another area. I think he was over there kind of doing some business.
Okay. Right. Closing thoughts from you, Brian. Impressions going into day 2, what you're going to do tonight to prepare for that.
And when do you sleep?
And how do you feel about Tyler Booker overall, and how should the Tolos and the Fatties listen? How should they feel?
Feel good. Feel good about Tyler Booker because, like I said, Dallas had to pivot, and listen, it just where their stack was, they didn't have Golden and maybe others higher than they had Booker on their board. And so they follow their board that way. And I think that's the most encouraging thing you can do. I think he absolutely helps you in the running game. I think he absolutely helps you with the front of the pocket and pass protection. So, that part of it, I think, is really, really kind of an upgrade there at the right guard spot. But tomorrow I think it sets up really well. Wide receiver, I think sets up well. The running back sets up well. I think the defensive tackle group sets up well for you, and the cornerback group. So, if you're a Cowboy fan, don't just grade the draft or talk about the draft on one pick. Let this thing play out because I think they're in a good spot to grab some players. And tomorrow with the second round, the third round, that could absolutely help this football team going forward.
Stupendous job as always, Mr. Broaddus. We appreciate you taking time. Can you do us a favor and get some sleep so that you can be bright-eyed and bushy?
I got a Love of the Star podcast going at 8:30 tomorrow morning. So I'll be good to go.
All right.
We'll get you a cup of Joe to get through the day. We appreciate you, Broaddus.
Appreciate you, B.
Take care, boys. Have a good evening.
I always say this. Gavin Dawson started this a long time ago. It's not just a conversation. It's an investigation of what's really going on whenever you talk to Broaddus.
And Broaddus is in the know. He knows what's going on. He is not just speaking thoughts. He is giving you intel. We will continue to give you guys intel. We'll give you our thoughts on the pick, as well as the secret audio from the draft room and when Booker was picked, as well as Micah Parsons, star defensive end, what he thought about Tyler Booker and the draft pick. Next on The Fan.
And Doug. Quickly, Moo. We don't have much time. This Liberty ad is already almost over. We only have a few precious seconds to remind people to customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Okay. Well, I guess we had more time than I thought.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power.
remember that Uber Eats has groceries.
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be a, what was it, Pepper Lady? Pepper Lady?
Was it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Maidens?
Paprika?
No.
Nutmeg Maidens.
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
Golden. As much as I wanted a Genty or a Hampton, at the end of the day, those guys don't matter if Dak is hurt, if Dak is rushed out of the pocket. And with Dak not being as mobile coming off another lower leg injury, you got to protect the guy. And I thought Brian Broaddus did a great job giving me some peace, and maybe gave you Tolo some peace, that TJ Bass and Brock Hoffman weren't the long-term investment.
No.
So you had to get the right guard at some point. Why not get it to the guy who had over 500 pass attempts in the SEC and allowed 0 blocks?
Yeah.
I think under 20 hurries, maybe even under 15.
0 sacks.
And so Tyler Booker, the knock on him is the athleticism isn't great. If you're doing a pin pull situation, you definitely don't want him to be, I don't want to say definitely, you would prefer him not to be the puller and prefer him to be the pinner, pinning down, and you let Tyler Smith be the guy who's rushing to the second level, doing that pulling action. But from everything I've read, this guy is a smasher. This guy is a finisher. This guy is a bull. This guy is full of strength. So when it comes to running the ball down the gut, when it comes to that interior O-line, you've got to feel really confident now with the Dallas Cowboys and what they're building. And I went back and looked just to get the numbers for you guys. 2011 is when it started. Tyron Smith at a USC.
Check.
At pick 9.
Check.
2012, they got Mo Claiborne. 2013, pick 31, center out of Wisconsin, Travis Frederick.
Check.
And then 2014, out of Notre Dame, pick 16, guard, Zach Martin.
Check.
So, boom. Those are your 3 O linemen. You build up the O line. We all know what happens. Like Jerry said, they didn't win the Super Bowl, But that team was highly competitive. That team was making playoff runs. Dak, Dez, Ezekiel Elliott.
Zeke won rushing titles behind that line.
So I understand the process. And so I think, to me, it was really just the Bass and Hoffman. That was my biggest thing, is like, yes, I love O-linemen, but you've got solid ones. So why not you don't have, I think, a solid wide receiver too. Why not do that? That was my thought process. So like I said, Broad is saying, hey, Blake, this wasn't really going to be the long-term option. You don't want these guys playing 17 games. You needed to get this, so why not upgrade at a premium position in Tyler Booker? And people will go back and forth. Should you pick a guard that high, positional value? Zach Martin was picked 16th overall. I think if they'd have moved back a little bit and gotten Tyler Booker, people might be a little bit more happy. Either way, they got a guy that they believe in and a leader. I would give it a B+. I'm at a B+ right now. Maybe it goes to an A. Maybe it goes down to a B-. But right now, I think I'm at a B+ for the first round grade of Tyler Booker based on everybody who was on the board. Your thoughts? Yeah.
I think it was a solid pick. It wasn't a reach. It wasn't what I expected right off the bat. But guess what? I wasn't disappointed. There are always Cowboy fans who are disappointed because they love the shiny toy. This year, there were no wide receivers who were dominant X. There was no number one receivers in this.
There was no
not real.
Malik Neighbors, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson coming out.
CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, there wasn't any of those.
And so I was not.
Including Ted.
So I was like, if you don't trade back, this was a solid move. And I say solid, like not disappointed, but like, yeah, they addressed the need. And the need is you don't have Zach Martin. And it wasn't.
Do you think that played a factor?
Yes.
Tyron Smith and Zach Martin retiring.
Yeah.
They're looking in that boardroom. They're like, man, we used to have
and
three
they know,
dominant O-linemen. We can go get one.
You heard them say, Steven said it and Jerry said it, the most expensive quarterback in the NFL. They're trying to protect that asset as well. And not only that, who knows what kind of running game they're going to have. You got to give the running back some room. And so I'm not mad at the pick at all. And the fact that he's got character, he's got leadership.
They're speaking highly on that character.
Oh, yeah.
Every chance they can.
I heard him talk about it. I think it was when he was talking to the guys in the draft show when they did the phone call to him, not the secret audio, but the phone call. He was talking about, I don't know if it was them or if it was on the TV broadcast, but he was talking about how he is a leader, and when given the opportunity, he's going to lead the offensive line, and he's also going to take care of his quarterback. He's going to protect his quarterback.
Oh, I believe him too. He says stuff with conviction. I need to go, he's just talking for the camera.
No.
He's saying stuff that I think you can get behind it, Tolos.
Exactly.
When you hear this guy talk, we're going to play in the secret audio. We're going to play in Micah and him talking to each other on the Bleacher Report show. So there's a lot of stuff to get to. I do want to open it up, 877-881-1053. That is the Franklin Injury Attorney text line to text in. Also, that is also the way to call in. If you guys want to have your opinion voiced.
Are you saying a phone call?
We can do a phone call
yes,
segment.
we can.
We'll do it right after we wrap up these thoughts. If you want to call, if nobody calls, we'll continue to give our thoughts and play some audio for you guys. But if you want your thoughts to be heard on these airwaves, 877-881-1053, and new guy Jake will put you on the board and we'll put you in.
Here's a couple of texts right off the bat. 214 says, how do I feel about the Cowboys draft pick? Ambivalent.
Nice
I
word.
can accept drafting another offensive lineman if the Cowboys had spent more money in free agency on other positions of need.
Agreed.
Totally agree with that. In other words, going into this draft, if they had addressed some things.
If you didn't have Kyer Elam and Kalen Carson currently slotted to start at corner, I wouldn't be screaming about corner.
If they hadn't lost, Jordan Lewis.
If Jordan Lewis was here and Kalen Carson played decent last year, I'd be like, don't even worry about corner.
Right.
Get one in the 5th round.
So,
but the fact that you didn't do anything, I guess technically you did. You got Kyer Elam. But that's like me and you playing corner right now.
They have not really addressed those needs yet. So I understand that. Another 214 says, I love the pick, guys. A good O-line makes the skill position players' jobs easier. Let's get one of the best running backs and then add a solid receiver. 817 says, not sexy, but the number one guard in the draft at the position of need. Good pick, in my opinion. So I understand how the Tolos feel. Again, I'm just glad that they weren't reaching and overpicking a wide receiver at the 12 position. If they had fallen back, maybe. And again, I don't necessarily want them to just jump up and get a wide receiver. To me, you've got to really get a running back. You cannot have running back by committee. You cannot have a running back that's just good. You've got to have with the quarterback situation being that Dak does not have insane arm talent. To me, he's Jalen Hurts. You've got to have a threat at running back that the defensive coordinator is going to say, you know what, we're going to go in the box because we don't know what's going to happen. You cannot have a defensive coordinator say, I'm going to flood the secondary until proven otherwise.
This is what Dane Brugler had to write about his final write-up on Tyler Booker. Overall, Tyler Booker is built like a bull with the play strength and finishing mentality to match. His average foot quickness, which we spoke about, is, however, might not be ideal for every scheme. I guess Riley and them figured out, hey, he works for our scheme. He projects as an immediate ideal starting guard with the tools and competitive character that are easy to bet on. And you're going to hear that character when we start playing all this audio for you guys. Bobby brought up a story of how he reacted when Saban said a couple years ago, Saban, who's going to be in the SEC title game? And he said Texas and Georgia and didn't mention Bama. And Tyler Booker was asked, what do you think about Saban not mentioning you guys? And he said, I was always taught not to listen to the guy in your mom's basement. Also, I don't listen to guys who play golf all day. Like, he's got no problem standing on business. I believe in my team, and which I think that's really good for the Cowboys. You want guys that are want to play here. If you missed it when he got drafted, look at his reaction. This wasn't a Cowboys or
he was thrilled.
He was jumping out of his shorts.
Did you see him run down that hall with all the logos and all? He slammed. He high-fived the Cowboy star.
He did more than high-five. He almost broke the wall trying to pop that Cowboy star. Puts on the hat proudly. I'm just so happy to be a Cowboy. I love the emotion from Tyler Booker.
214 says, people feel let down because the press hypes the toys, the shiny toys. The way his college quarterback hugged him told me a lot. Protect Dak, open the holes for the running backs, rebuild the Great Wall of Dallas. The Great Wall of Tyler. I tweeted that.
And that's fair to say. I mean, how sexy is it if me and Fred, G-Bag, Sean and RJ, K&C, we just say, O lineman every day, and we talk about Gray Zabel and Tyler Booker. Might be realistic, but it's not that sexy. You want to throw the Matthew Golds out there, and it is a need. It's not like we were just. And when it comes to you guys listening, most of y'all play fantasy football. You're not drafting O linemen. So yes, we're going to talk about the Goldens and the Genties and the Abukas and the Tet McMillans. And I don't think a lot of people saw O-line coming until this last week and a half. This was something that was new in the last week and a half that they were getting an O-lineman. So
we got somebody on the hotline. We got the Woolly Bully, Zach Wolchuk, fresh from the start. He heard us talking to Brada, so we got to talk to the Woolly Bully. Zach Wolchuk.
I got some stuff to say to Zach.
What's happening, fellas? How are you?
What's up? You took a second from your Twitter argument with on social media to come chat with us?
Oh, man, that guy's a little B. That's been a long time coming.
Okay, first question. I asked Broadus, I want to know if you had the same sentiment. Does this Tyler Booker pick an indictment on Brock Hoffman and Zach Bass? Are these guys just backups? Because I thought they played fine in spades. Brian was like, you don't want these guys for 17 weeks. They're just backups. Weeks.
Yeah, I think absolutely. This is the guy that's going to end up being your starting right guard. He's a plug-and-play player. I mean, look, you need depth along the offensive line. But I think Brock Hoffman had his chance to win the starting center position, and he lost that to Cooper Beebe. And I love Brock Hoffman, the way his attitude, his play temperament, the way he goes about his business. But I do think those guys are they're backup players. I think, hey, if you need them for 3 to 5 games, awesome. But if they're going to have to play over the course of 17 weeks, you're probably going to start to see the flaws stand out in a big way.
We're talking to the Woolly Bully, Zach Wolchuk from the G-Bag Nation here on the post-draft show. The On Time Experts are the official sponsor. They are the AC and plumbing partner of your Dallas Cowboys. Now, Zach, you called us. Tell me what was exactly on your mind, because we don't want to let you not say what you wanted to say, and we asked you a bunch of questions.
Really, man, I didn't have anything. I was just listening to you guys, and I'm like, I really should go to bed, but I'm so wired right now after the first round of the draft, and I just kind of wanted to talk ball.
Let's do it. Biggest surprise.
Man, I think it was probably Colston Loveland going ahead of Tyler Warren.
You should have seen new guy Jake's face when I walked in. I said, Colson Loveland. He's sold on him, though. He's sold on him.
Oh, man, we'll see. I mean, I had Loveland as the number 3 tight end. I think Warren's a stud, and I love Mason Taylor out of LSU. Loveland, I get it. I think everyone's just kind of they're hoping he can be like a Brock Bowers because he's like that when it comes to the shiftiness and the quickness, but he's kind of hurt guy, man, and I didn't see great production. I don't know, man. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Loveland ends up being awesome, but he wasn't a guy that I had in the first round.
Zach, the biggest surprise for me was the Giants moving up and then not taking Shedeur Sanders and taking Jackson Dart instead. For them to jump back into the first round, I'm like, oh, they got to be going after Shedeur.
They were all saying that.
But then I heard you say this, that Brian Daboll's son or somebody had leaked, or what was the story? Because they said they were going after Jackson Dart all along, and they deleted it off of social media or something. What happened?
Yeah, his son last night put on his Instagram story a Jackson Dart highlight reel. And then the aggregators, quickly caught that, and then he deleted it and set his account to private.
I have to give you props because you said that just before they announced Jackson Dart.
Well, the timing's everything there. I got lucky with that one. But, I mean, I think Daboll just really likes Jackson Dart. I mean, hey.
Yeah, somebody said he liked him. They were like Jack. He reminded him of Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see that. But
I don't either.
Quarterback is you never know, man. It's such a gamble. But he's a Giant now, so I hope that Abdul Carter and Jackson Dart both stink.
My final one, the Cowboys front office, and I think it was Will that said this. There was a lot of people talking, that they had a similar grade on Tyler Booker as they did at Zach Martin back in the day. Did you have a similar grade, or do you see the similarities, or as far as the grading out as a prospect?
No, not even close. I mean, I like Tyler Booker. I had him as my 21st player. To compare him to Zach Martin, I think that's a little bit unfair, personally. I mean, Zach Martin could have been the top player in this year's class. Like, he would have been probably a top 5 player. But, I mean, it would have been Travis Hunter. We would have been talking Ashton Genty. We'd have been talking Zach Martin.
To show you how great Zach Martin was when he was drafted, he switched positions and is going in the Hall of Fame as a guard. He wasn't a guard at Notre Dame.
No, he was a tackle, and Zach Martin actually won MVP of the Notre Dame's bowl game that they played in his senior year. I mean, what offensive lineman have you ever heard of winning MVP of any game?
Yeah,
so Zach Martin was a different cat, man. But I do think, like, in terms of the football IQ, the processing, the awareness to pick up stunts and blitzes and some of the power, yeah, there's some similarities there. I think Zach Martin was a far superior athlete than what Tyler Booker is, though.
All right, I don't want to get in trouble, so we got to go to break. Any closing thoughts before we get you out of here?
No, man. I do think the Cowboys are in a great spot, though, for tomorrow. There's tons of good backs on the board, a lot of good wide receivers, and it's going to be interesting if one of these corners fall that are flagged for the medicals. Will Johnson, Savon Ravel out of East Carolina, Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame. They've got a big need at corner. Do they end up taking that at 44, or do they go with the skilled player, whether it's Judkins at running back or one of these wide receivers? Maybe a Luther Burden falls to him. But we're in a good spot, man. Tomorrow night's going to be a blast.
Tomorrow night is going to be a blast. We appreciate you, Wooly Bully. Get you some sleep.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
There he goes, the Wooly Bully. Well, you want to hear audio? You want to hear Micah? You want to hear the secret, what happened behind the scenes before Tyler Booker was picked? And maybe you want to hear yourself. 877-881-1053. Text in, call in. We'll get you set up next on The Fan.
Find The Fan wherever you...
Products? I gotta remember that.
Well, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen it before. Well, I mean, of course you have. So Rachel. Oh, is that your name? No, I mean like your name. No, I'm Jen. My name's name's Jen. Right, but I just mean like this is your haircut, but that's hair on your head. I'm not saying this is your hair. Okay, freaking me out a little bit.
Sponsored by the On-Time Experts on 105.3 The Fan with Chris Arnold and Blake Elliott.
Brought to you by the On-Time Experts, the official air conditioning and plumbing partner of your Dallas Cowboys. Chris Arnold, Blake Elliott. And we got some phone calls. We got some totals.
Yeah, people are already
calling in.
People are already calling. We got Chris. We're going to be putting him on in just a second. 877-881-1053. If you want your opinion to be heard about the Dallas Cowboys first round pick or just the draft in general, how you feel after today, call in. New guy Jake will put you in line. The quicker you call, the quicker your voice is heard. I'm going to read a couple texts, and then we'll play some audio and listen to you guys' phone calls. From the 806, it's been too long since I heard a post-midnight ooh-wee. Always a pleasure hearing the greatness of CA.
Got you down.
Another 817 saying some not nice things about Leody Taveras. A different 817.
Walk-off home run.
I was upset at first. Then I started to feel good about the pick and hoping we take a running back next. I'm in the same spot. I was upset. Then I was like, okay, talk to some people. And now I feel pretty confident that they'll take a running back in the second round. But there's just so many good players slipping that it's like, man, if a guy you had a first-round grade is there, a Luther Burden, a Will Johnson, can you pass on that and go away from your draft board? So Cowboys batting a 900 when it comes to picking in the O-line, so I'm good. I would agree. Success ain't flashy sometimes. Agreed. People feel let down because we read that one.
Here's what 361 says. Dak needs the protection plus the way Shoddy's talking about running the ball. Decent pick.
Nick Chubb will look great behind this line. I don't know about that. Breece Hall rumors have been heating up. I'll ask this to the Tolos. Pick 76, your third-round pick. Would you trade that for Breece Hall, Jamison Williams, or Cortland Sutton, or none of them and keep pick 76? I just want to throw that out to the Tolos. Pick 76, would you trade it for Jamison Williams from Detroit, the wide receiver, the speedster, Cortland Sutton, the Broncos wide receiver, or Breece Hall, or none of them, and keep pick 76? Just marinate on that, text it in. 682, I love the pick. I love the soundness of the pick. Genty or Edge would have been my other selections at pick 12. Tyler Booker will be better than Guyton. They might slide him to tackle. Doubt it. Thoughts on Shedeur not getting picked? We'll give our thoughts in the final segment about the draft in general. What do you think about trading back into the high 50s and getting a fourth and grab Judkins? I'm sold. That is completely fine.
If he's still there.
Because in the high 50s, you're in this situation, they're saying Judkins slips. Maybe you get him in the third round, which if that happened, sell me on that. And then you would get your fourth round pick. So now you can go get that run stuffing one tech. And then that third round at pick 50, you can get receiver, corner, whatever one you like better there. 682, I like the stand on business attitude he has. Thanks for the quotes. Got you. I'm at a 6 out of 10 on this 3 Tylers on the line, but when you think about the position against division and the interior that the Eagles D-line has, Tyler Smith and BB would love to do a tush push. Let's go.
That's what Jerry said, too.
Yep. His energy was infectious through the screen. Love it. You're going to love this audio we're going to play for y'all. No letdown at all. Love the pick. Okay, a lot more positive than I thought people were going to be. I thought people were going to be like, I don't know how I feel about the pick. Well, let's hear what Chris has to say about the pick on line 1. Chris, what was your thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys' first pick here, Tyler Booker from Alabama?
Well, first of all, I was sitting on a plane deadheading back from Miami and watching the draft, and I can't be more enthusiastic about it.
Okay.
I have to admit, I gave up on Tyler Guyton pretty early on. I was hoping for a tackle, but I can probably be persuaded.
Let me persuade you for a second, Chris. Let me just persuade you. Tyler Guyton is not Tyler Smith, and he actually changed positions from one side of the line to the other. Tyler Smith only changed one position, one man over. So the expectation, because both of them named Tyler, a lot of people thought Guyton's going to do the same thing. Guyton had to play left tackle, and he never played left tackle at OU. Go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to sound like this isn't any kind of knock on Tyler Guyton himself. He looked deflated throughout the season. I never saw any enthusiasm from him. So that was more or less where I was coming from. It looked like a person that got into quicksand and had kind of given up, or that's what it looked like for me. But I can understand, obviously, the complexity of sliding across.
Yep.
That being said, last point, I'm really happy we didn't pick anybody from Michigan.
Shots fired, but I love it. I'm with you. You would have had a lot of complaints.
Yeah, Colston Loveland luckily went before, so you didn't have to worry about that. We appreciate your call, Chris.
Yeah, welcome back to town, man.
Welcome back. Hopefully your flight was safe and you're back here with us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Enjoy the rest of your night, Chris. So that was our first caller, 877-881-1053. If you want to join the list and get on with the calls like Chris, let's go out to Greg in Cleburne, I believe that says. No, it says Denton, Texas. What's up, Greg? I got a friend named Greg.
What up, Greg?
Yeah, a couple things. One, R.J. Harvey's stats in the Big 12, a better conference, compare favorably to GNC at Boise State in the last 2 years.
Okay,
that's a good fourth-round pick. I think that we can get a fourth-round spot. That's a guy we can pick up in the fourth round to play running back. At 49, I'm looking at Jalen Noel, and at 76, I'm looking at either Alfred Collins or Jacob Parrish.
Wow. This guy's been studying his boards. I love it, Greg.
By the way, how many first-round grades did you give out on your board?
I gave like 21, I think.
Okay.
I got
Wolchuk had 14 or 15, I believe.
Mm-hmm. I got 8 picks correct in the first round, like the exact pick.
Look at you.
Whoa.
Look at you, Mr. Expert. I appreciate that.
Mr. Greg, I love the board. So here's what
I really love about Booker, okay?
Okay.
Booker looks like a 250-pound man and a 325-pound body. I mean, the guy is an athlete.
Yep. Dancing bear.
And that speaks to power, and that speaks to athleticism.
And you know, seriously, the NFC East really does have a lot of interior pass rushers, and you've got to have some guys up front that can handle all that. So I'm not mad at the pick at all.
He's going to be able to anchor, and he's going to be able to anchor and set the depth of the pocket.
Yep.
And then what you need now, this line is only going to go as far as Tyler Guyton goes this year. I'm just going to tell you that. But I really like the interior of our line with Smith, Beebe, and Booker. You know, I'm kind of excited for our running game next year.
I'm excited for that run game as well. You brought in two new coordinators.
Get a real running back.
We just got to see which running back they end up getting. You seem to be a fan of Harvey. Maybe they'll go the same route. Maybe they'll get somebody else. But at the end of the day, you have to build up the O-line, and that's what they did with Tyler Booker. So I would assume that you like that pick, and hopefully they can continue build. Just go to Greg's board, man. Where can we find this board?
Well, and like I said before, at 49, I think we can get Jalen Noel, who's a good separator, and that's a guy that Dak can throw to because Dak does not like to throw in traffic.
Appreciate the call, man. The phone lines are blowing up. We got Derek. Look,
is this Derek Harmon that got drafted in the first round? We got Presley from Dallas. We got John from Dallas. Let's go out to line 1, Derek in Dallas. Derek, how are you feeling about Tyler Booker at 12?
What's up, D?
I'm good, man. I wish that I could have been drafted at some point, but no, man. I love that's a great non-sexy pick. You know what I'm saying? Because there's nothing sexy about O-lineman being picked. So I love that pick by the Cowboys. You know, because nobody was talking about Carolina and what Carolina was going to pick, except for folks in Carolina. I didn't hear that with nobody across the national broadcast. You know what I'm saying? So
you feel bad for Tech? You feel bad for him?
No, and I love that for Bryce. You know what I'm saying? I really love that for Bryce.
Yeah, Bryce got better in the second half.
Yeah. You know, go get Bryce from somebody who can score some touchdowns. That's how I love about it. I love that. But for the Cowboys, I love that pick. You know, I honestly thought that Brock Hoffman had the lock on the right guard position until they went drafted Booker tonight. So, great pick. It's going to be great competition on the line, you know, on the offensive line with everybody. But here's my gripe, man, about the whole draft. Just about the draft, not about what the Cowboys did or nothing. Just about the whole draft. So after the draft is over with, we're still getting, you know, the scrolling. We're still getting the scrolling news about how Shedeur wasn't drafted because of off the field.
What?
And I'm just like,
he has no off the field.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I just saw this on ESPN, scrolling across the bottom, you know, on the ticker. So I'm like, wait a minute. So Shedeur never was accused of stealing crab legs, was he?
Jameis Winston?
Shedeur was never accused of stealing a laptop, was he?
Nope. Cam Newton?
The whole narrative of this draft wasn't even the number one pick in Cam Ward. It was the Sanders. It was Dion and Shedeur. That was the whole narrative of this draft.
Well, Coach Prime said that last name has a burden, and Shedeur knew. See, this was the deal. Whoever didn't draft him, it's no different than Lamar Jackson and Dan Marino. Lamar Jackson goes all the way to 32. They overthought it. Dan Marino, he was the last quarterback picked in the first round in 83. He went at number 27. And that's because they overthought it. They're like, wait a minute, because they knew too much about both quarterbacks going into the draft. And look at Shedeur, same thing. They just kicked the tires so much they overthought it. And the last thing about it, there were so many quarterbacks that were already set with their teams. You got young quarterbacks making that good money. It wasn't about everybody needed a quarterback because everybody was paying for a quarterback. Derek, we appreciate the call, man. We got a couple more we got to get to.
No doubt, man. Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir, Derek. You have a good rest of your night. Let's see if we can keep that intensity up. We're going to go out to Presley in Dallas. Presley, were you impressed by this pick?
Yeah, man. I mean, at first, I was always wanting, Tet, but Carolina obviously picked him up. But after seeing Tyler Booker, I know we needed to, voiced up that O-line, and I'm really happy with it. But what I saw, honestly, like stat-wise, and I've seen on ESPN, YouTube, whatnot, is that his pass game and protection is a lot better than his run protection. Do you think that'll influence if we take a wide receiver running back in the second round?
Yeah, so we saw the pass blocking numbers where we saw over like 450 pass blocking snaps, and 0 sacks allowed, under 15 hurries. So I think they feel pretty comfortable in the pass game like you spoke about. But from everybody I've heard and some of the stuff that I've looked into, this guy's a mauler in the run game. Not exactly a fluid athlete, and I mentioned this early. He's not going to be a pin pull guy where you're having him get to the second level. He's going to be more of a smasher, interior guy. You're going to let Tyler Smith do that kind of outside, get into the second level situation. So I think they're still going to go running back in the second round at pick 44, whether that be the Ohio State boys, Caleb Johnson. But with all these guys falling, all the corners that we've spoken about, Luther Burden maybe falling, it is going to be interesting. I think there's going to have a bag of goods at 44, and I probably will be happy with any decision they go because you do have multiple holes. But I think Tyler Booker you should be enamored with as far as a run and pass blocker and the leadership qualities. The only knock on him is extreme athleticism, so he's not going to be the guy flying to the second level, smashing an outside linebacker, a Jihad Campbell. He's not going to go lay him out in the open field. But when you need him to run stuff, when you need him to get up the middle, when you need him to make lanes for whoever you get, I think he is your guy.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, I'm absolutely pumped. I mean, it was needed after Zach Martin's gone, man. I mean, it hyped me up. It took me a second, as most people have been saying tonight, but, man, it hypes me up, brother. So running back wise, if we're taking that, we taking Henderson or we taking Judkins?
So Henderson has the higher grade. A lot of people were saying him to even possibly go in the first round. So I think if he's there at pick 44, it's going to be super hard not to take him. Judkins is probably a late second round guy. I am just fine with either, but I'm just saying of what the league thinks, and probably the Cowboys as well are in line with that thinking. Henderson will probably be the next running back off the board. But Tolo texted in a great theory that maybe you move back from pick 44 into the 50s and still get one of those guys as well as pick up a third or fourth round pick. So I think you're just in a good situation because of all of these skill position players falling, and they're all skill position players falling in positions of need for your Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, I think this draft's looking up to, make us look really good, man. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are killing it tonight. And I wish us luck tomorrow, boys.
Yes, sir. We appreciate the nice things, man. Presley. Enjoy the rest of your night, and hopefully you Tolo tomorrow. We got one last call to get to.
John?
Let's get to John in Dallas, who's been waiting over 7 minutes. John, what have you been thinking about in these 7 minutes, and how do you feel about Tyler Booker?
Well, it's worth the 7 minutes. I'm how about them Cowboys?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. Yes, sir. But let me say this to Mr. Chris Arnold. I know he's old school, and I'm old school, too. Before I get my question, I just want to let Mr. Arnold know, speaking about Cowboys, I graduated from Carter High School, class 81.
Look out, Carter Cowboys.
You better know it, baby. We have a reunion coming up pretty soon. So I just want to kick out to my CC alumni, Carter Cowboys.
There you go.
Yeah. Now, I love the pick of Mr. Booker. I love the pick. I really do. But also, I thought they was going to get a wide receiver. Not that McGillen, but I like that either
Golden
and Golden. But that hurt me. But that's okay. Now, let me ask you this. Now, I just heard y'all say something about in the second round with the 44th pick, with getting either the two running backs from Ohio State.
Correct.
Now, let me ask you this. I don't want I don't know if this is going to be a dumb decision. I heard somebody say earlier something about they might trade down to get extra picks. And if they do that, not all the way down, but if they trade down from 44, let's say 47 to get an extra third and fourth, you think those two running backs will still be there? And I'll hang up and listen.
I sure hope
Thanks,
so.
John.
I think you have a good chance of one of your. I'll throw in Caleb Johnson as well, who Brian Broaddus is enamored with. I think if you move to that 47, 48, there's a good chance one of those guys are still there. But you have to see how the board. You have to see how the board shakes out. So maybe if you're at pick 44 and the only guy left is Judkins, you probably don't move off of that spot.
Right, you take him.
But if all 5 guys you like are still there, we can move back a couple slots. So you have to kind of see how the board shakes out. I think the Cowboys will be active on the phones. I think people will be actively calling them. But if you're a Cowboys fan, I think you can go to sleep confident tonight. There's a lot of good options on the table.
In fact, that's what Broaddus even told us. He said the way the Cowboys board looks is perfectly lined up for them to get the pieces that they want.
Because maybe the running backs do get wiped out. Then that means that a great corner has fallen. a great wide receiver has fallen in, and they go get a guy in the third. And I think running back is the most pressing. Like, you would love for that not to be the position that goes before you go at pick 44. But if it were to happen, worst case scenario, you're getting a stud corner, a stud wide receiver. We're going to continue to give you guys some more takes. A shout out to the On Time Experts for sponsoring this show. They're the official air conditioning and plumbing of your Dallas Cowboys. Another fan. We're going to give you guys the secret audio that I've been teasing
Micah too?
For 2 segments, and Micah Parsons. What he said will shock you. Next on The Fan.
Thanks for signing up for our all-day membership. Sean and RJ mornings, the KNC Masterpiece middays, and G-Bag Nation afternoon. Turn it on and leave it on. 105.3 The Fan or on your Odyssey app, presented by Comerica.
I'm Jeff
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Maidens?
Paprika?
No.
Nutmeg Maidens.
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
Tyler Smith. Don't matter. Cowboys in 5.
Great Wall of Tyler.
They're going to be taking it all the way now. I think I'm pretty confident in that. All the way. Championship, here we come. Travion Henderson at pick 44.
I see what you're saying. The Cowboys can do the tush push. You're falling for Jerry's.
We can tush push now. In the 3rd round, give me Kyle Williams out of Washington State. Cowboys are back, baby.
Okay,
that's all they needed was a Tyler Booker, and now we're set.
Let me help you pump the brakes, because as much as everybody's enjoying the draft today and probably tomorrow night and Saturday, all these picks, even if they all hit, you're watching on-the-job training next fall.
Yep.
Therefore, do not assume.
And Dak coming off injury.
Yeah, do not assume it's a home run, especially because, don't give it. There's hope and expectations in youth, but always remember all those little moves that they made. Oh, we signed some free agents. Those were camp bodies that they signed. That wasn't real depth. They got guys they can cut. They're only signing to low money. So I'm cautiously optimistic.
Can I quiz you real quick? How many new players have joined the Cowboys, including Tyler Booker? So players that were not on the team last year that are on the team this year. There are 2 that are O linemen that I'll give you if you don't get, because they are like third stringers, but 13 players. Who are those 13, CA?
I can't tell you because they're camp bodies. I wasn't trying to remember the names because guess what? I don't expect half of them to be on the roster this fall.
Hakeem Adeniji. I knew that was on the tip of your tongue.
Oh, yeah, on the tip of my tongue.
Sadiq Charles.
Like Sadiq, yeah.
We got Robert Jones.
He used to be with Tony.
We got Robert Jones out of Miami, who some people speculated could be your right guard, who plays guard, but it looks like he'll be a backup. You got the best backup offensive line in the league. You got Asim Richards, who might be your starter. You got Robert Jones, who was a starter for Miami last year. You got Brock Hoffman, who started for you last year. You had TJ Bass, who started for you last year, and then Matt Waletzko. So you got 4 guys that all started at some point last year as your backups. And then, your new O-line is now Tyler Guyton at left tackle, Tyler Smith at left guard, Cooper Beebe at center, Tyler Booker at right guard, and Terrence Steele at right tackle.
I'm going to give you some more words of wisdom.
Please.
Because I've been around a long time. All those guys that they signed for $1 million here, $1 million there, were available for $1 million here, $1 million there. And you didn't have to outbid anybody because they weren't that good.
Isn't that their favorite?
I don't care that they were 5 first-round picks back whenever they got drafted. Yep. There's a reason those 5 first-round picks were available on the cheap.
Well, let's hear what the Cowboys thought about their first-round pick. Let's go into the board and hear what that secret audio was of
here we go.
Who we're going to pick and what it sounded like.
Hey, this is Jerry Jones with the Cowboys, and we're turning you in.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, boy. We're glad to have you as a Cowboy.
I'm glad to be a Cowboy. I'm glad to keep the O-line tradition. Thank you.
Okay, well, man, listen, we're proud of you. Congratulations. Tell your folks how proud we are of you. But here's your coach.
Will do.
Here's your head coach.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tyler, Coach Shoddy, man.
What's going on, Coach?
Hey, man. Hey, listen, you blew us away in the process, brother. Here's what we need. You just come here, be you. You kick ass. Welcome to the family. We are so excited. We just want that same dude every day. Be physical, do what you do, man.
Yes, sir. You're going to get as long as we can listen to that Whitney Houston you was listening to that day.
Yeah, hey, ain't no doubt about that, man. Hey, I want you to talk to our offensive coordinator, Clayton Adams. Hey,
okay.
Congratulations, man.
Yes, sir.
So fired up. You're a Cowboy, baby.
Yes, sir.
All right, hold on. Here's Coach Adams.
Okay.
Book, what's up, man?
What's going on?
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
I am so freaking fired up that you're coming, man. How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys? Them Cowboys?
Let's go. Let's move the freaking line of scrimmage now, huh?
Let's do it.
Let's do
it. All that.
Here's Mr.
Yes,
Jones,
sir.
okay?
Okay.
Your offensive coordinator is a true offensive coach lineman at heart. You know that, don't you?
Oh, yes, sir. I know that.
Oh, you
I know
that.
that.
Okay, well, you know him, but you got a lot of backing. I'm an old offensive lineman. I'm an old offensive lineman, believe it or not.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
They always are the best looking. They're the smartest, and they own the damn team. So that's an offensive
Oh, definitely.
lineman. Hey.
Oh, yeah, best looking for sure. You should see my suit today.
All right. Hey, listen, good to have you here.
Yes, sir. I'm glad to be a
You have
Cowboy.
a lot of support in this room.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I
Okay.
can't wait to get there and get to work.
All right, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. I'll talk to y'all soon.
I love the secret audio. Every year, I love the secret audio.
I love it because of how crazy it is. You got family members screaming in the background. You got the player excited. You got 15 different coaches all trying to get their 10 seconds to say hi. There's a lot going on.
Freaking Cowboys.
There is a lot going on, but one thing that is reigned true, Tyler Booker is enamored to be a Cowboy.
He is, and I really do think he's a very good pick. You know what? The Cowboys brass weren't the only ones excited about that pick, and Cowboy fans. Micah audio, I'm glad you found this.
So this
because they actually talked about this in the press conference.
So I want to say 3-4 years it's been going on now, maybe just last 2. I don't know. But Micah has been doing the Bleacher Report show, draft night. I want to say he had Darius Slay on last year. He had him on again this year, and they're just talking through all the picks. I love it and I hate it. I will say this part. I love it because of the moment we're about to play for you guys. The only part I hate it is because when they pick at pick 8 and they pick Ted McMillan, you see Micah like, oh my gosh, we were supposed to have him.
End of the world. That's our guy.
And so then it makes it seem like whoever you do pick, like we didn't really want you. We wanted that guy. That's the only part because we wouldn't see that if you weren't on camera. We'd be like, oh no, I love this guy. It happened last year with Guyton.
You got the natural reaction.
And he's like, oh, I guess this and it's like,
but this reaction.
So this is you're gonna hear Tyler Booker talking to Micah Parsons. You're gonna hear them setting it up, the interview, and Micah and him going back and forth. And then when Tyler Booker gives his reasoning on why he thinks he is the right pick, why he thinks he is going to shine with the Cowboys, you're going to hear Micah's explosive response.
You had one of my favorite quotes of the entire draft process. You said, quote, I make guys not love football anymore. What does it feel like to see the love of football leave someone's eyes?
It feels great, like football is a child's game. So like people wake up, be like, man, I can't wait to play this football game today. They listen to their hype music, they take all the pre-workout, they get so excited to play football until they come across Tyler Booker. And then when I'm going after you, quarter after quarter, play after play, series after series, and I start to see that love leave their eyes, like that's what makes me love the game. Like I just really love. I like that part.
Yeah, you just got me right. He got me ready to go. I ain't gonna lie. He got me ready to go.
Bro, I want to play right now.
Yeah, he got me hyped. I ain't gonna lie.
All right.
Play after play, quarter after quarter.
Hey, man, welcome to the team. Yeah, he had me ready to go. Yes, sir.
Micah can't wait for Oxnard. Now he's going to be up against him if he signed.
That was Micah.
If both of them are signed.
And Darius Slay, you see them mid-quote, they're like, man, that's football talk. That's not for the cameras, just talking it up like, oh, he's ready. And so
took the soul out of the football.
He said play after play, series after series, quarter after quarter. You love to hear that. You guys you may have wanted a different player, but at the end of the day, you got Tyler Booker. He loves to be a Cowboy. So I say we embrace him with open arms, Tolos, Fatties, Dallas community in general, DFW community. We open our arms up to Tyler Booker. It's a big man. We're going to have to open up really wide for Tyler Booker. I think he's going to set the standard of interior O-lineman here moving forward.
Great Wall of Tyler, and I'm going to remind a lot of Tolos and Cowboy fans that when Micah Parsons was drafted, I'm doing the post-game show with Will Chambers, and I kid you not, these fans were so mad because they wanted a cornerback. And if you didn't get your cornerback, that he went to Denver instead. You wanted an offensive tackle or you want an offensive lineman, and they were so, we don't drive this linebacker. Now everybody's like, oh, we love Micah. They got to make sure they pay Micah. So embrace this offensive lineman because I think around the country, people are saying, Book is for real.
Book is for real. Book it. Text in who you think your Dallas Cowboys will draft tomorrow. We're going to have full coverage. You're going to have the full lineup of guys. You're going to have Sean and RJ in the morning, KNC, G-Bag, and then the draft will continue at 6 o'clock.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. We'll have the exact same setup we had today. So share it with your friends. You want to be knowledgeable when you're talking about it. That's the best way to do it.
And then on Saturday?
And then Rangers pregame, 8:30 tomorrow. So we'll have Rangers pregame. And then Saturday from 10 to 3:30?
2:30.
10 to 2:30 we'll have draft coverage as well for you guys.
Brian Brown's going to be working his butt off. He's been doing this so long, but he loves it, man.
We're just trying to give Brian a day off here and there, but not anytime soon because this is our Super Bowl draft, rebuild, draft, and set up a new team for your Dallas Cowboys. I appreciate UCA getting out of the bed, hanging out with us, doing a little draft coverage. I appreciate all the producers for all the great work they did. Pretty much every producer has been here today.
Round the clock.
Whether it comes Rangers, Rangers did lose to a walk-off 4-3, by the way.
Damn.
Rangers, TSN, producing our show, cutting up the Cowboys. There's a lot of hard work that they put on behind the camera, behind the scenes. So make sure y'all send some love on the text line to them. Shout out to the On Time Experts, the official AC and plumbing of the Dallas Cowboys. Another fan sponsoring today's show. They did a great job.
And for those who are wondering where Fred is, he's still at Pluckers.
Fred is still at Pluckers. He might be in a bucket
and
of wings right now.
And thanks to Pluckers for hosting all the hosts as always.
If you ran into a host, text in. Let us know how your experience was. I know all the guys were out there. Fred Davis was announcing picks over there, I think in Fort Worth. Or
so was Alec Medford.
Allen or somewhere. He was somewhere. There was
Lucius
so many,
was in Arlington.
so many different locations.
Generals in Addison. And some of the other guys. I think Eric was in wherever the Pluckers close to his house was.
Yeah, so Blake's gonna go home and get some sleep.
He is.
I'm gonna sleep. I'm gonna sleep on these picks.
He's at Pluckers.
I'm gonna figure out.
Oh, you're Blake.
I am Blake. I'm gonna figure out who.
I never
these,
knew you talked in third.
I do. I talk in thirds a lot.
Okay.
I'm gonna continue to talk in thirds. Cowboys. Tyler Booker at 12. Who will they pick tomorrow? Well, you have to listen to 105 through the fan to figure out who they're gonna pick tomorrow. Any closing thoughts, CA?
Ooh-wee. Got you down.
Well, it was a pleasure as always. Shout out to the Cholos. Shout out to you guys. I will see you guys when I see you. You'll see Sean and RJ in the morning. And stay tuned for our draft coverage next.
30 straight minutes without interruption. It's our On Time Experts commercial-free